Recently, I was lucky enough to finally get my hands on an eye-level viewfinder for the Mamiya RZ67 after only having used the waist level up until this point. Since I don't really plan on using the built-in light meter, this video is more so going to be about my process and how I feel about the finder after my first few rolls than it is a how-to or review video. Although I do hope I'm still able to answer some of the questions you may have. The first thing I want to point out is that using this finder does add a considerable amount of weight to the camera as a whole, but to be honest, that probably isn't going to deter you if you're someone who is committed to shooting an RZ67 in the first place. Of course, the ground glass of the waist level finder by itself looks phenomenal, but the first thing I noticed after looking through the eyepiece was that the perspective felt 100% more natural, at least for the type of subject matter I'm used to photographing. It kind of gives you the effect of shooting a huge SLR, which is great for me because I have so much experience shooting cameras like the Canon AT1 and Nikon F. And since that's what I've been the most comfortable with for the longest, it really allows me to focus on my compositions above all else. To put this to the test, I went out and photographed a couple of the same scenes twice, first with the waist level finder and then with the eye level. For the sake of this video, I left these images uncropped and unaltered so you can really see the subtle differences in composition. The first one I shot was this scene right here, which I chose because the wall of this building had a lot of various lines on it, and I figured that would make it easier to see the differences. In the one I shot with the waist level, the first thing I noticed was how crooked this window was on the bottom left, which isn't a problem at all on the one with the eye level. Same with this paneling up here, which is a lot more upright looking and true to how it was in real life on the one with the eye level. One of the problems I always have with the waist level is that I can't get every line of my compositions to be upright in an acceptable way. But as you can see on the one with the eye level, I really don't have to even alter the image too much at all for it to look natural and non-crooked. Whereas with this one, I feel like too many of these lines are pointed in different directions for me to really be able to fix it. The other scene I shot as a test was this one right here. Since this is a much more straightforward composition, the two images don't look that drastically different, but the main place you can tell is right here by the window, which looks a bit more rectangular and less slanted on the frame I shot with the eye level. Overall, the second image just looks more like you're standing there and looking at this corner in a natural way as opposed to kind of kneeling down or crouching and looking up like in the one at the waist level. And that's super nice in my opinion, since I usually want my scenes to look pretty true to reality perspective-wise. Overall, I'm very satisfied with my first few rolls using this finder because most of the time I have to alter and rotate my images pretty heavily to get everything to line up, but this definitely was not the case here. Most of the time I end up being dissatisfied with at least 3 or 4 of the images from each roll that I shoot, but this time across the 3 rolls that I got back from having first used the eye level finder, I only had to get rid of maybe 5 images in total, which is super satisfying to me. I plan on keeping the waist level for portrait shoots and other subject matter where the perspective doesn't have to be as realistic, but since the majority of my work focuses on documenting relatable scenes, I think the eye level is a much better fit for me personally. Even though looking through the finder itself isn't as much of a glamorous experience as looking through the waist level, the sharpness of focus it ultimately gives me is nothing like I've ever experienced, and it makes me feel just that much more connected to my composition. To be honest, it really just makes me want to go out and shoot more in general, which should always be the goal with any piece of equipment you own. I hope you were able to find something useful or interesting in this video, even though I didn't really go into the specifics of the light meter itself. And if you want to check out some of my work, my Instagram is samdfishel. Also, my website is samfishel.com. The links to both of those will be in the description. That concludes today's video. As always, thanks for watching and supporting, and I will see you all soon.